Welcome everyone, and thank you so much for clicking on this video. Today, I am going to share with you one of the most inspiring, emotional, and powerful life stories of our time. This is not just the story of a man. It is the story of dreams, struggles, pain, hope, hard work, rejection, belief, and victory. This is the story of a boy who was born in a small house in India, with very little money, no mobile phone, no laptop, and sometimes not even a proper chair to sit and study. But today, he is one of the most powerful CEOs in the world. He's the man who leads Google and Alphabet, two of the most influential companies in the world. This is the story of Sundar Pichai. Many people dream, but only a few turn their dreams into reality. Many want success, but very few have the patience, humility, and courage to walk the long, difficult road that leads to greatness. Sundar Pichai's story is proof that you don't need to be born rich to become successful. You don't need to have expensive clothes or luxury things. What you really need is a burning desire to learn, a never-give-up attitude, and a humble heart. So, if you are someone who is struggling in life, if you feel like giving up, if you think the world is unfair, then this story is for you. Listen till the end, because this might just be the most important video you watch today. This is not just a biography. This is a guide, a lesson, a light for anyone who is walking through the dark. This story is perfect for learning English because it's simple, inspiring, and packed with real-life lessons. As we go through Sundar Pichai's journey, you'll hear everyday words and phrases that are easy to understand but also powerful. You'll learn how to describe challenges, success, and motivation, all in simple English. Plus, the story will help you improve your listening skills while keeping you engaged with a real, exciting life story. So not only will you be inspired, but you'll also be improving your English every step of the way. Chapter 1. The Humble Beginnings. Let us go back to the year 1972, to a crowded, noisy city called Madurai, in the southern part of India. In this city, on June 10th, 1972, a boy named Pichai Sundararajan was born in a small middle-class family. The world knows him today as Sundar Pichai. His father, Raghunatha Pichai, was an electrical engineer who worked hard every day in a British company called GEC. He repaired electrical parts, worked with circuits and designs, and tried to give his family a better future. His mother, Lakshmi, was a stenographer, someone who types and writes shorthand, but she left her job to take care of her children full-time. Now imagine this. Sundar's house had no television, no refrigerator, and they lived in a small two-room apartment in Ashok Nagar, Chennai, which was known as Madras at the time. One room was a living room during the day, and at night it became the bedroom of the whole family. They didn't have a car. They used a scooter to go anywhere. There was only one fan, and during summer the house became extremely hot. But they never complained. They were happy, simple people. Sundar shared his room with his younger brother. Sometimes his relatives also came to stay in the same house. The space was small, but the dreams inside that small house were big. Sundar's childhood was filled with questions. He was always curious. He wanted to know how things worked, how a telephone works, how electricity travels, how machines are built. He asked his father many questions, and his father always answered with patience. This is where Sundar first learned the value of knowledge and learning. Every evening, his father would come home from work and talk to Sundar about what he did in the factory. Sundar listened carefully. He didn't understand everything, but he learned to think like an engineer. He learned that behind every great thing in a world, there is hard work, discipline, and design. Now listen to this powerful part. They got a telephone at home only when Sundar was 12 years old. It was a simple rotary phone. You had to turn the dial to call someone. And here's something very surprising. Sundar had a photographic memory. He could remember every single phone number he dialed, even after calling it once. That was the first moment when his family realized Sundar is special. Even though he was very intelligent, Sundar was never proud or arrogant. He was quiet, polite, and shy. He was the kind of boy who sat in the back of the class but always scored the highest marks. He studied in Jawahar Vidyalaya, a school that was not fancy or elite, but it had good teachers. Sundar loved maths and science. He liked solving problems. He was not someone who learned only to pass exams. He learned because he enjoyed learning. Now you may ask, did he have tuition? Expensive books? No. He studied with what he had. He borrowed books from others. He worked harder than most students. And he never wasted time. When he grew older, he studied at a school called Vanavani, inside the IIT Madras campus. He saw brilliant students and professors there, and he started dreaming. One day, I want to go to a big college too. But dreams are not enough. Dreams must be followed by effort. After years of hard work and sleepless nights, Sundar Pichai finally made his parents proud by getting admission to IIT Kharagpur, one of the top engineering colleges in India. This was a big moment, not just for him, but for his entire family. Imagine this, a young boy, shy and humble, coming from a small house with no air conditioner, no computer, and very little money, now walking into one of the most respected colleges in the country. It was a new world for him. Big classrooms, brilliant minds, competitive students, and highly experienced professors. But here's something you should know. Even though he got in, life did not become easy. In fact, it became even tougher. Sundar chose to study metallurgical engineering, the study of metals, materials, and how they work in industries. Now you may ask, why metallurgy? Why not computer science? The truth is, Sundar was not from a rich family. He didn't know much about computers at that time. In fact, during his early IIT days, he had never even touched a real computer. But he was curious. He listened. He observed. He started learning about programming and coding in his own time. He read books that others ignored. He would sit in the computer labs for hours, watching how things worked. At IIT, he met students who came from big cities, rich families, and modern schools. They had better clothes, more confidence, and strong English. Sundar, in comparison, was soft-spoken, and his English was still developing. Did he feel small? Yes. Did he give up? Never. He didn't speak much, but he listened more than anyone. He was not loud, but his thoughts were sharp. He didn't try to compete with others. He tried to compete with himself. Sundar worked silently. While others were wasting time partying, Sundar was reading books, solving problems, and thinking deeply. He never tried to show off. He was focused on one thing: growth. His professors noticed his talent. They saw that Sundar had something special, a calm mind and deep intelligence. One professor even said, Sundar Pichai is one of the most promising students I've ever seen. During his final year at IIT, Sundar applied for a scholarship to study in the United States of America. His dream was to do a master's degree from a top university abroad. He applied to Stanford University, one of the best universities in the world. And guess what? He got selected. But now came the biggest challenge: money. The flight ticket from India to the USA cost almost $1,000 at that time, which was more than his father's entire yearly salary. Just imagine the situation. They had no credit cards, no sponsors, no internet banking, no online fundraising. Just one simple Indian family trying to support their son's dream. What do you think happened? His father didn't think twice. He took a loan, used up all his savings, and borrowed money from relatives. Because he believed, if I invest in my son's education, it will change his life. That is what great parents do. They sacrifice everything for their children. So one day, with one suitcase, a heart full of hope, and tears in his mother's eyes, Sundar Pichai took his first flight ever, from Chennai to California. He was going to a country he had never seen before, a culture he didn't understand, and a life that was completely different from what he had known. When Sundar reached Stanford University, he was shocked. Everything was so different. The people, the food, the buildings, the teaching style, even the silence in the libraries. In India, he was used to crowded streets and noisy classrooms. In America, students walked with headphones, drank coffee during lectures, and asked professors tough questions without fear. At first, Sundar felt like an outsider. He didn't understand many things. People spoke fast English. He missed Indian food. He missed his family. He missed home. And do you know what he did when he first saw a computer with internet at Stanford? He just stared at it, because he couldn't believe such technology existed. In his early life, he had no access to internet. But here at Stanford, he had 24/7 access to modern computers, labs, and world-class professors. He knew this was his chance, so he studied day and night. He asked questions. He made notes. He sat in the front row. He learned everything, from programming to networking to computer systems. While other students partied, Sundar worked silently. And slowly, something started to change. He began to understand the American system. He made new friends. His English became better. His confidence grew. And he never forgot who he was or where he came from. Even when he had very little money, Sundar would save his small student stipend carefully. Once, he couldn't buy a backpack he liked because it was too expensive. So he waited, worked part-time, and bought it later, because he knew every dollar counted. After completing his master's in material sciences and engineering from Stanford, Sundar had many options. He could have gone back to India. He could have joined a regular company. But he wanted to go higher. He wanted to work in Silicon Valley, the place where all tech legends live and work. Apple, Microsoft, Google, Intel, Facebook, all are born there. But getting a job in Silicon Valley was not easy. Sundar worked for a few companies first. He joined Applied Materials. Then he went on to do an MBA from Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania. At Wharton, he was named a Siebel Scholar and a Palmer Scholar, titles given to the top students of the class. Now imagine this: a boy who didn't have a phone till he was 12, now standing in classrooms where future billionaires and CEOs studied. And still, he stayed humble. This is what made Sundar different. He never forgot his roots. Sundar Pichai was now standing at the doors of the most powerful companies in Silicon Valley. His qualifications were excellent. Masters in Engineering from Stanford, MBA from Wharton with top honors, real work experience at companies like Applied Materials and McKinsey. But there was one thing he had in his heart that others didn't: hunger. A hunger to build, to learn, and to create something useful for the world. It was the year 2004, and Sundar had just applied for a job at a growing tech company called Google. At that time, Google was already known for its search engine, but it wasn't as huge as it is today. They had fewer products, fewer employees, and fewer offices. Sundar didn't know that this one interview would change his entire life. He prepared hard. He studied computer systems, logic problems, case studies. He knew he was not a typical programmer. But what he had was clarity, strategy, and the ability to understand what users need. On the day of the interview, he entered Google's office, which was not very flashy at that time. He was calm, focused. They gave him technical problems. He solved them logically. They asked him product questions. He gave unique insights. They asked him, "What would you improve about Google?" He said, "Let's make the homepage simpler. Let's build tools around the search engine. Let's think beyond." He didn't say what they wanted to hear. He said what he truly believed. And that impressed everyone. Sundar got the job. He joined as a product manager, a role where you don't just code. You also think. You solve problems. You plan the future of the product. And this role was perfect for him. When Sundar joined Google, he was quiet. Other managers were loud and confident. They had big egos. They spoke in meetings to show their power. Sundar, he spoke only when needed. But when he did, people listened. He was given a simple job: work on Google's search toolbar, the small bar that lets you search Google from your browser without opening the main page. It was not a glamorous job. No one thought it was important. But Sundar saw the future. He realized that if people used Google directly from their browser, they would stop using other search engines. Google would become faster, easier, and more natural. So he worked day and night to make the toolbar better. He studied how users searched, how fast the results came, and what made the experience smooth. He focused on user behavior, what people really wanted, not just what engineers wanted to build. He improved the toolbar until it became a major reason for Google's early success. As Sundar was working, he saw a big problem. Most people were using Microsoft's Internet Explorer or Mozilla Firefox to browse the internet. But those browsers were slow, clunky, and full of bugs. He thought, why not build our own browser? This was a huge risk. Google was a search company, not a browser company. Building a browser would take years, and many senior leaders said it was a bad idea. But Sundar believed in speed, simplicity, and control. He said, if we control the browser, we can improve the full user experience. And if we don't build it, someone else will. Still, no one was ready to fund his idea. So what did he do? He kept pushing. He made presentations. He showed prototypes. He convinced one team member at a time. He created a small team and started building in secret. Finally, Larry Page, Google's co-founder, believed in him and said, let's go for it. That project became Google Chrome. When Chrome launched in 2008, it was clean, fast, and easy to use. People loved it. Within a few years, Google Chrome became the #1 browser in the world. And this one product made Sundar Pichai a rising star inside Google. Why? Because he had a clear vision. He built a strong team. He took a huge risk. And most importantly, He put the user first. He didn't build Chrome to become famous. He built it to solve a real problem. And that's what true leaders do. After Chrome, Sundar didn't stop. He worked on Google Drive, Gmail improvements, Google Maps, Android. He later took full control of Android. Every time, he led his team with humility. He was not bossy. He listened to others. He allowed people to disagree. He created a culture of respect. His colleagues said, Sundar makes you feel smart, even if he's the smartest guy in the room. He was not a micromanager. He gave people space. But he always asked one question. How does this help the user? That's why his projects were always successful. Because he focused on people, not just technology. It was August 10th, 2015. A normal Monday. Sundar walked into the office like always. But this time, something big happened. Larry Page and Sergey Brin, the founders of Google, announced that Sundar Pichai would become the new CEO of Google. The whole tech world was surprised. But people inside Google were not. They knew this day would come. Because Sundar was not just an engineer. He was a visionary, a thinker, a leader, a problem solver, and most importantly, a kind and respectful human being. Think about it. The boy who grew up in a two-room apartment in Chennai, who stood in lines to use a phone, who didn't have access to a computer until he came to the US, was now in charge of a company that controls the internet for billions of people. This was not a dream anymore. This was real life. But with great power comes great pressure. And that's what this chapter is all about. Sundar walked into the office on his first day as CEO without bodyguards, without shouting, without a dramatic press conference. No big speech, no loud words, just a warm smile, a quiet presence, a confident walk. He stepped into a room full of Google's top executives. He didn't start by talking about profits or numbers. He simply asked, what's best for our users? What can we do that truly helps the world? This was the kind of leader he was. Simple, thoughtful, user-focused, and deeply human. Being CEO of Google is not like running a small company. It's more like being a global leader. Why? Because Google touches billions of lives daily through search, YouTube, Gmail, Maps, Android. Millions of businesses through advertising and cloud services. Governments and schools through data, privacy, regulations. Every single decision Sundar made would be seen, judged, and discussed globally. If he made a mistake, it would be on the news. If he fired someone, it would trend on social media. If he launched a new product, the entire tech world would analyze it. So, how did he handle that kind of pressure? Calmly, softly, powerfully. He didn't panic. He didn't play politics. He didn't attack critics. He did what he always did. He listened, thought deeply, and then spoke with clarity. Soon after Sundar became CEO of Google, another huge change happened. Google's co-founders, Larry Page and Sergey Brin, decided to step back and create a new parent company called Alphabet Inc. This was the holding company that would own Google, YouTube, DeepMind, Waymo, self-driving cars, and other ambitious projects. Guess what? In December 2019, Sundar Pichai was made the CEO of Alphabet too. Yes, now Sundar was not just responsible for Google, he was responsible for YouTube, Google Cloud, Google Search, self-driving cars, Waymo, artificial intelligence, DeepMind, and many other futuristic projects. It was like being the captain of 10 massive ships at once, each with its own engine, team, and mission. Still, he didn't panic. He led with strategy, with listening, with balance. Being a tech CEO means you're not only dealing with engineers and products, you're also dealing with governments, courts, activists, the public, and politics. Here are some of the major storms Sundar faced and how he handled them. The U.S. Congress hearings, 2018. In 2018, Sundar Pichai was called to testify before the United States Congress. Why? Because lawmakers were worried about user data privacy, political bias in search results, monopoly concerns, whether Google was too powerful. It was a tense moment. Powerful politicians were sitting across from him. Cameras were rolling live. Every word he said could become global news. But Sundar sat calmly. He explained Google's technology in simple words. He made complex systems sound human and understandable. He repeated one message. We do not manually control search results. We use algorithms, and our focus is to provide the most relevant results. He didn't argue. He didn't lose his cool. He simply educated. This moment proved something powerful to the world. Sundar Pichai was not just a tech expert. He was a communicator, a global leader, and a voice of reason in a chaotic world. The employee protests. Even inside Google, not everything was perfect. Employees protested certain military contracts. Some were upset about pay differences and lack of diversity. There were tensions around how AI should be used ethically. Sundar didn't run from these problems. He did town halls, where employees could ask tough questions directly. He listened, he responded, he made changes. He didn't try to be a boss. He tried to be a listener, a bridge, and a problem solver. While all this was happening, Sundar didn't stop focusing on innovation. Under his leadership, Google invested deeply in artificial intelligence, using it for translation, health, maps, search, and more. Google Cloud became a major business, helping companies around the world manage data and grow. Android kept improving, becoming the most used mobile system in the world. Google Pixel phones were launched and improved. He was not just maintaining old products. He was creating the future. With so much power, it's easy to forget where you came from. But Sundar didn't. Even today, he talks to students from India and around the world. He gives speeches encouraging kids from small towns to dream big. He reminds people that humility, kindness, and curiosity are more important than degrees or titles. In one interview, he said, "Success comes not from where you start, but from how far you're willing to go." This is who he has become. A man who leads billions, influences world decisions, and still lives by simple values. Many people think CEOs are always working, but Sundar knows the truth. Real success includes balance. He is not just a CEO, he is a father, a husband, a friend, a reader, a quiet observer of life. Family life. Sundar is married to Anjali Pichai, the same girl who supported him during college in India when he didn't have money to make phone calls. They have 2 children, and he makes time to be with them, no matter how busy he is. Personal habits. He starts his mornings with tea and a newspaper. He likes to walk and think deeply. He reads books about technology, history, psychology, and human behavior. He doesn't chase luxury. He chases clarity. Hobbies. He enjoys cricket, watching sports, and sometimes even cooking simple Indian dishes with his wife. Friends say, he is the same Sundar we knew in college. He hasn't changed. He's still humble, still quiet, and still full of ideas. One of the most inspiring things about Sundar is this. He never tries to show off. He wears simple clothes. He speaks softly. He doesn't talk about money or fame. He talks about ideas, innovation, and how to make people's lives better. This is rare in today's world. Most people want attention. Sundar wants impact. In one interview, someone asked, "Why don't you act like other billionaires? You live so simply." He smiled and said, "My goal was never to be rich. My goal was to be useful." Powerful, isn't it? Today, Sundar Pichai is respected all over the world. He has been listed in Time magazine's 100 most influential people multiple times. He is invited to speak at world forums about the future of AI, climate change, and digital freedom. World leaders want to collaborate with him because he understands not only technology, but humanity. Still, whenever he's praised, he says the same thing. "It's not about me. It's about the team. I just had good people around me." Again, humility wins. Let's look at his financial success now, because this also shows what's possible when you follow your passion with discipline. Net worth, as of 2025, estimated to be over 1.5 billion USD. Annual salary, around $240 million per year, including bonuses, stocks, and performance rewards. Homes, a beautiful, eco-friendly house in Los Altos Hills, California, surrounded by nature. No gold statues, 100 cars, just peace, books, trees, and family. Cars, Tesla Model S, BMW 7 Series, Range Rover, but he rarely shows off. Lifestyle, focused on privacy, peace, and personal growth. Still drinks cutting chai, tea when he visits India. Still reads Tamil newspapers when he gets time. These are some of Sundar's most powerful and unforgettable quotes. Read them, feel them, live them. Wear your failures as a badge of honor. Failure doesn't mean you are weak. It means you are growing. A person who is happy is not because everything is right in his life. He is happy because his attitude towards everything in his life is right. Attitude is everything. As a leader, it is important to not just see your own success, but focus on the success of others. Leadership is about lifting others. Be impatient to learn, but be patient to apply what you learn. Learn fast. Apply slow and wisely. It is important to follow your dreams and heart. Do something that excites you. Passion is the fuel. Let's end this powerful journey with timeless lessons from Sundar's life. These are not just words. These are rules to live by if you want to rise from nothing to everything. 1. Your background does not define your future. Sundar came from a simple Indian family. He had no phone, no car, no money to study abroad. But he had dreams. Where you start doesn't matter. Where you're going, that's what counts. 2. Be curious like a child, always learning. He loved learning. Even as CEO, he reads every day. He listens to others. He upgrades his thinking. Stop scrolling. Start growing. Replace gossip with growth. Replace fear with learning. 3. Stay humble even when you rise. Sundar never became arrogant. He stayed soft-spoken, polite, grounded. Real strength is quiet. Real greatness whispers. 4. Choose kindness over ego. Even when attacked, he never hit back. He used truth, not anger. Calm, not chaos. Be kind, even when it's hard. 5. Success is not just about money. It's about usefulness. Sundar's goal was never luxury. His goal was to make a difference, and he did. Don't chase money. Chase meaning. 6. Believe in your own journey. He could have given up many times. When he was poor, when he was rejected, when people doubted him. But he believed. He kept going. Even if no one believes in you, you believe in you. Sundar Pichai's story is not just the journey of a tech leader, it's the journey of a human soul who started with nothing and built an empire with honesty, humility, and heart. Let his story remind you, you don't need to be born rich. You don't need to speak perfect English. You don't need connections. You need just one thing, a burning fire inside you to learn, to grow, and to never stop, no matter how hard life gets. If this story inspired you, if Sundar Pichai's life touched your heart, if you feel more motivated today, if you believe you too can rise, then subscribe to our channel to learn something new every single day. Here we tell you stories, teach you English, inspire your mind, and help you become the best version of you. This is not the end. This is your beginning. Go now, dream, work, grow. You are the next Sundar Pichai, and the world is waiting for your story.